thank you so much for joining me for this process of waking up to our 2020 experience. You see, when I started out this year, I thought that I should meditate and contemplate on this 2020 vision. And I kept going. 2020 vision is about a comparison about what I see at 20 feet to what other people see at 20 feet. And that's called normal vision. Well, yeah, that's good, but I want to up-level my spiritual practice to developing a 2020 vision that's a spiritual vision. Well, let me tell you, when you set an intention that's that big and that all-encompassing, guess what? Anything and everything is going to show up. Unlike that, is going to show up in your face. Show up for healing. This summer, I saw the best bumper sticker. It was, hindsight is 2020. I went, oh, now that really makes sense. Because how we look at the past is an expression and a revealing of how we're looking at our future and what we're willing to do in this moment. You see, as a transitional specialist for over 20 years, working with 8 different organizations, showing up when everybody else was leaving, and doing the work within the community to help them get the clarity and address the issues that they needed to work on so that they could go forward, I have a little experience in transitions. And let me tell you, 2020 has been a huge transition point. You see, transitions start with an ending. You know, change, when we change our clothes or we change our lifestyle or we change, it's all about doing something different, more than what we've done in the past. Our focus is on the future. And we only change when we think it's going to be easier or more fun. But transition starts with an ending. Transition starts with an ending. And hasn't 2020 just been a world of transition? You know, it's all about the ending of life as we know it. Life is not normal. Not normal for any of us. And we spend all our focus on feeling discouraged and disappointed and dissatisfied and disquieted and disrespected, which is all various forms of disidentification. And that's what happens when we end what we thought we knew. And so it's a pivot point. 2020 is certainly a pivot point. It's a pivot point out of what we used to think we were and are and what our future would be like to something different. It's like a pivot point like 9/11 was. I mean, life before 9/11 was one thing, but life after 9/11 has been another thing. Well, this is an even more major transformation. And what happens when we get through this ending is we end up in a place that feels not like what we want it to be, but it feels like a place of not knowing. A place of not knowing up or down or right or wrong or who's right, who's wrong, who's got the best vision of the future. We don't know. And so we're basically in freak out mode. Now, social scientists tell us that there's basically 3 reactions to being in the freak out mode. The first reaction is denial. We deny that everything's changed, and we want to keep as much normalcy as possible. We want to make it feel as comfortable as possible. Well, we're dealing with changes. You know, everything from social distancing to distant learning. to Zoom meetings, to isolation. Our kids are not in school, or our kids are in homeschool, or our kids are in school, but we are so afraid that they're going to come home with something that's going to kill grandma. You know, it's a lot of unknown, a lot of worry, a lot of frightening thoughts, worry about our future. 2020 is filled with that kind of stress. This week, as we have been celebrating Thanksgiving, it's a day when we want to get together and appreciate what it's been, but just saying I'm grateful for our family or for our friends or for God and our country, those simple levels of gratitude just doesn't seem to cut it for me. You see, we're in denial. Denial, because more people this week have been traveling since March. I mean, really, does it make sense? I don't know. We're ignoring the CDC guidelines. We're traveling and being in close proximity of people, and our hospitalizations rate is through the roof, and there's risk factors that we now know a whole lot more about, but we're still in a little bit of denial about. So the first way we handle freak out is we deny it. The next way we handle freak out is a phase that I'm calling we emotionally get reactive. So we're reacting against all of the risks and the worry and the shadows and the fears, and we get angry and frustrated and annoyed, and we blame other people. We try to search out for who's responsible to make them responsible, that they need to change, and then everything else will be okay. Well, no, it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. If we spend all our time being angry and worried and scared and afraid, how effective are we going to be to meeting the future? How effective are we going to be in our daily lives? The Big Book of Alcoholics has the most revealing quote. It says, "Acceptance is the answer to all our problems today." Simple to say. Acceptance is the answer to all our problems today. Now, are we going to accept that this is the way it is and this is the way it's going to always be? Well, I'm not encouraging that. I think we need to accept instead of being emotionally reactive. So what does this third phase of acceptance look like? Well, when we accept things, we are developing a perspective. We aren't into the drama and the trauma and the despair of everything's lost. No, we're developing a perspective on what's working and what's not working. We can start to engage with other people in healthy ways instead of condemnation and judgment. We strengthen our acceptance that this is the now time and we're the ones that we've been waiting on. We start to rebuild our sense of self-esteem. And often this time is filled with sort of a good healthy dose of humor, laughing at ourselves, being able to get a perspective leads us to the beginnings of new goals, new dreams, action steps and activities that will move us forward into our future. Now, I don't think we're really there yet, but I think we're in that place of no return. You see, the past is gone, the future has not showed up yet, and what are we going to do today to help us get to our future with health and wholeness and as much, and hopefully as many of us as possible? Well, that's where gratitude comes in. Gratitude is more than just saying thank you. Gratitude is really about the art of appreciation, appreciating the good, harvesting the good out of every situation. And this is a gratitude practice that can help us move forward and deepen our experience of the good. Now, my friend Dorothy sent out a beautiful tweet this 2 weeks ago now that had a picture of her and her former husband, Harry, sitting in this big oversized chair, cuddling, and this was before his last illness. And it was, her whole message was about how much she appreciated Harry in ways that she had never been able to appreciate him while he was alive. And talked about her daily experience of talking to Harry, even though he's not physically present, but developing that love, developing his wisdom, engaging in a process of taking the good that she assigned to Harry and engaging that with herself. And so her whole message was, I'm giving thanks for the 32 years of companionship and love and support that I had with Harry. And this week, I'm asking Harry to help me to find the next right and perfect person to spend my life with. This grieving in Giraffe, this harvesting of the good, this recognition of mourning in gratitude that helped her to appreciate all that she had had with Harry. And I know it was not an easy road. Those 32 years were filled with lots of stress and strife. I mean, his kids, they really caused a problem for many years in their relationship. His last illness, them building houses and moving, and the stress of having to basically sell everything to avoid bankruptcy in the end. I mean, it's not been easy. But that gratitude for what their relationship brought to her has made her now willing, after 3 years, to start again. So I want you to get out a pen and piece of paper if you don't have already, because I'm going to give you 7 appreciation prompts on how to joyfully create our lives. So that the first one I want us to work on is appreciating our breath. Really focusing on breathing and taking a deep breath and just allowing our focus to move from to down deeper into ourself. And this focus on our breath, focusing on our body temple, helping us to appreciate the health and the wholeness that we do have, will help us move forward. Now, maybe your inventory of gratitude shows up with some things that, okay, well, I'd really like to be able to walk a little easier. I'd really like to lose weight, or I'd really like to stop smoking, or change my drinking habits, or drink more water, whatever it is. That recognition of the notness in that appreciation will help guide you into what you need to be doing in your future. So appreciate the good and appreciate where you can make changes on improving your life. So the second appreciation is, I want you to appreciate how well our needs have been met. The things that have done really well in our lives, like my friend Dorothy and her relationship with Harry. That's an inventory of how it's been good, but now there's this inventory of starting of what needs are not getting met. Not to shame, not to blame, not to assign responsibility elsewhere, but to recognize that her needs for companionship and support and guidance and just humor to get through the day sometimes still unmet. So that's the second level of gratitude and appreciation that I'm going to invite you to do. And the third one is, I want to invite you to appreciate the pain and appreciate the longing of your life. Who you are and how you show up, and what is your life's longing. all of that journey through the pain, through the bad, the ugly, the good, the bad, what this year has brought us, helps us to become aware of what we want to make sure we build into our future. The fourth thing, I want you to appreciate, take an inventory of how forgiveness has showed up in your life. You know, those times when you needed to have somebody comfort you and help direct you into a new future, help direct you into acceptance, love, support for your future. And then I want to invite you to turn that around and appreciate your own ability to forgive other people. Sometimes not so hard, easy to look at the stuff on how we're doing and how we can do it differently. But as we strengthen our ability to forgive, to accept, to step over the mistakes and move into restore a loving, accepting relationship, that can make everything different. So this fourth step of appreciating how forgiveness has showed up in your life and how well you are able to forgive others. The fifth thing I want you to take a moral inventory about is appreciate how your life has been shaped by failures, losses, and take inventory of how you turn those losses into successes. How many times did you fail? What is the quality of your failure, and how did you use those failures to turn it around to become successful? Your path is different than mine, but let me tell you that every failure turned into a redirection, into life becoming more wonderful. Each and every time as I learned I wasn't cut out for that, or I didn't do that as well as I'd like, being able to move from the condemnation, the judgment, and turn it around and head in a new direction is critically important. The sixth thing I want you to up-level your appreciation for is appreciating your peeps, appreciating your family, appreciating your partners, your loved ones, appreciating your children, your co-workers, appreciating every aspect of the people that are in your life. When we can come to understand them and appreciate them, that they don't have to do things the way we would do them, or that we don't have to always do things the way they would want us to, but we could appreciate where they're coming from. Helps us to build our relationship and to build our ability to work with them in the future. There's a great little story I want to just say that talks about a novice in a convent who had first completed her first year there. And she was talking with the Mother Superior, asking her, sort of an inventory of what she liked and didn't like about being in the convent and how was it working for her. And the second thing she said, well, I like everybody here, well, except for a few. And the Mother Superior said, well, tell me about these couple of people that you don't like. Well, she finally said, well, I don't like this one because she's lazy. And I don't like that one because she spends too much time getting ready in the morning and making us all wait on her. Mother Superior thought for a minute and said, so your challenge this year is to be a little bit lazier and to take a little bit more time in the morning to get ready for the day. That's the kind of appreciation we can have for our rivals and for our enemies. Because the things that we think about them and think that they're too much of this or too much of that, it's really about us. It's that comparison that 2020 thinking. And the seventh and final thing I want to invite you to really up-level your inventory and your practice is to appreciate how hope and faith has worked in your life. These two things, our hope and our faith, are prerequisites for optimism in the future. So I'm going to invite you this year, as we close out this 2020 experience, to truly deepen your practice of appreciation, of gratitude, because in truth, it's not the joys that make us grateful. It's the gratitude that makes us joyful. And that's, my friends, is how we can start 2021 moving into the direction of our new future. We're in this together. We can do this. We've done it before, and we will be able to do it again. And together we say, thank you.